Just a couple updates. First off, Jordan McCloud did suffer a season-ending injury on his lower leg, both knee and ankle. So he'll be getting surgery at some point in time here in the next probably a few days. I think sometime maybe next week. Hopefully we'll be able to travel him to Colorado. He has been a great teammate, and the guys have really embraced having him. So our plan would be to do that. I expect Isaiah Rutherford back in the game. No problems there. That was an illness that missed the game. Don't expect any other changes in terms of injuries. But very unfortunate, obviously, with Jordan. I do think that the team responded well to him playing quarterback for us. And you could see we were moving the football pretty much the last couple games. Unless we had a self-inflicted wound, we probably moved it at will. So this past game, obviously, we didn't punt till the 73rd play of the game, 73rd offensive play of the game. Also want to thank our fans. I thought we had a great turnout. I think over 43,000 people were at the game. It was awesome. It was electric atmosphere when it was 17-16. Midway through the third quarter was awesome. When Jamari threw the touchdown pass, the place was electric. And I hope our fans understand that makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference. It was remarked both. I gotten comments from a lot of people over at the UCLA sideline about what a great atmosphere it was here at Arizona. So I thank the fans for that, and I hope that next Friday night when we play Washington, we even have a bigger turnout, which would be fantastic. And then finally, I just want to say, in terms of the way the game went, after watching the film, I don't have too many changes from my opinion on Saturday evening. We had a lot of self-inflicted wounds. We had 7 drives in the game before we punted. On the 7th drive, the reason why we punted was because we had a 3rd and 6 called back because of a penalty. Otherwise, we would have been, again, inside their 40-yard line moving the ball. We had 4 field goals, or 3 field goals, which was disappointing. All of those were on penalties. We had a 3rd and 9 that turned to a 3rd and 14. We had a 3rd and 1 conversion that was a chop block, which made it 3rd and 16. And then we had a snap, a quick snap, which was a 16-yard loss. So all that's very disappointing in terms of us being able to really turn drives into touchdowns. Defensively, obviously they did a great job against the pass. But with that, you also have to be able to stop the run. And, it would very much felt like we were playing a team that was fully committed to running the football. I think they had 3 yards of passing offense in the first half, 87 for the game. And we let up some explosive passes, explosive runs, which really hurt us. The biggest thing I thought our defense did on a positive side of things was they swarmed to the ball. You looked at our guys tackling, there were 7 or 8 guys around the ball. And that's what we're looking for, and that's how we were able to get some takeaways. And that was exciting to see that type of energy that we've been asking our defensive players to play with. They were leaving the pile. They were all over every tackle. And that was cool to watch. And then also the sudden changes. I mean, there was a situation when we shanked the punt after we tried to get him to jump off sides, and we false started, and then we shanked the punt. We got the ball back 3 plays later off of a strip. Trey Hayward recovered a Kenny Hebert punch out, which next thing you know, it's the start of the 4th quarter, and we got the ball down to score. And, the final part I would say is this, that the last 4 games we played, we've been down 1 score with 8 minutes left in the game in all 4 games. And BYU, I should say, not the San Diego State game. So BYU, UCLA, Oregon, and NAU. It was an 8-point game in all 4 of those games with 8 minutes left of the game. So we need to figure out a way to score more points. I'm not numb to that. And we have to figure out a way to prevent teams from scoring more points. But we're playing a lot of close games right now, which is a sign that usually things will turn quickly.
Please raise your hand. We'll start with Justin.
Defensively, the way UCLA was able to run the ball, did you see any similarities to like the San Diego State?
Yeah, it was a little bit different schematically. The inside zone stuff got us. That they got us on that 52-yarder or whatever it was, that 48-yarder on 3rd and 2, which turned into a touchdown to make it 31-16. They were a little bit more of a different type of scheme with the quarterback that they were running with Dorian. They got into pistol a little bit more than San Diego State did. But they were still, I think their runners are pretty similar. They both have those big, strong backs. But in terms of what they were trying to do in terms of attacking the edges, they were a little bit more aggressive. UCLA was in terms of running the wide zone, where San Diego State was a little bit more pouring it up inside.
Michael.
Can you tell us any more about exactly what Jordan's injuries are, and then also how he's handled the whole situation?
No, we'll leave it at just the ankle and the ankle and the knee, but the extent of it will, leave. But I expect him back in January. I would expect him back for winter workouts. I'd expect him back to take reps in spring football. This is not a 9-month or 12-month injury by any means. This is more of, unfortunately, just where we are in the season. In terms of where he is mindset-wise, what I loved about him is, we said you can't play like you did against Oregon in terms of turning the ball over, but you can play like you did against Oregon in terms of moving the football and using your feet. And that's what he did. He didn't turn the ball over, and he used his feet. So he took coaching extremely well. He utilized the bye week to his advantage. Clearly, he was very comfortable out there, so he was very, very upset. He transferred here to play, and he came here to really help us. And I believe as he was learning the system more and more, we were going to be able to reap some of those benefits. And I believe in Gunner. Gunner won the job in training camp because of the way he was able to throw the football in training camp. So we have to now, reverse course, go back to that week of BYU preparation and remind him why he won the job and showed him some of the good things he did against BYU.
Well, Greg and then Troy.
If you wrote a book about the quarterbacking issues you faced in your career, would it be a thick book, and what would be chapter 1?
I would say that this might be the most unique one, but it would be a pretty thick book because I don't know how many years I've had the same quarterback return. The one, based on either my changing of a job or based on somebody else graduating, there's been so many changes that I've had experienced with new starter almost every year. And then except for in LA when we had Goff for 2 in a row. But I think that this is a unique one. I would say this is the most unique because of the fact that we really had no separation. And then the separation came during the season. And then when the separation finally came, an injury then occurred. So that really made it the most unique. But I'm excited to see what these 2 young guys will bring now. And I saw them a little bit, and now there is no more veteran presence. So it's 2 young guys battling it. And I think Gunner hopefully will step up. And with that, the rest of our team has to step up.
Troy.
What are some things that you could do to get Gunner in rhythm and playing like you did against BYU?
Yeah, I think, one of the things that happened against BYU is we went down early, and then we kind of got into almost like a 2-minute tempo. And when he got into the 2-minute tempo, usually those are the plays that you practice the most because they're your most standard. They're not your game plan plays as much as they're your training camp plays. That was where he had a familiarity. And then I also believe we were able to use the perimeter throwing game to his advantage because he has a big arm, so he can get the ball out there fast. I mean, that helped us because I think Stanley had a couple big ones, and then BJ had a couple just up the sideline. So we'll try to look back and see what he did well, and then also see if there's some ways we can get him just confident. That it's more about being confident than in a rhythm. And if we can get him confident back there, I think the rhythm will come.
David.
Through this point of the season, Jedd, then what are the fundamental differences between Gunner and Will in your mind that make him now the guy to move forward with?
Yeah, I think the biggest difference is when he's in the huddle, when he's at the line of scrimmage, when he's talking the game with his teammates, he's got tremendous command. He has a really, really good confidence about himself in terms of being able to speak the game. And then, I trust that when Gunner goes out there that he'll make the right decision and get to the ball to the right person. But Will is certainly very much, has to be prepared, just like Gunner had to be prepared. I think something that those guys learn is that you really do have to be ready. You really are one play away. Sometimes I think when you're a young backup quarterback, you think, well, if I'm not starting, I'm not playing. And you don't realize how quickly you can get thrown into the fire. And, Gunner got put in a 24-16 game against a Pac-12 South opponent. You got to be ready to go. And Will's going to have to do the same.
It was going to be on that respect. What is it about Will? What does he need to do could he still beat him out this week, or do you want to stick with the guy for now?
No, I think we need Gunner to get all the reps. We learned as we were going through these competitions that these guys currently are a group of players that need as many reps as possible to be successful, which could haunt you if you ever have an injury during the game, obviously. But I think what Will needs to do is Will needs to just continue to improve upon his opportunities when he has those, and be confident, and recognize that he can make the plays, and then play within the system. And that's my advice to both those guys. You don't need to make things up. That's what Jordan really accomplished, not just in the UCLA game, but really in the last drive against NAU when I think he went 6 for 6, and then, kind of skewed off of it, and then came back and then skewed off of it a few plays. But if we just continue to, just stick with what we're asking them to do, I think those guys can become successful.
What have you tried to do so far, and what can you continue to do to try to cut down on the penalties?
Yeah, the penalties this week were a unique group of them. They were kind of different than what we've had in the past. An illegal chop block on a bubble screen. I always thought the rule was if you're head up, you're head up. They called Bryce Woma for being on the ball, and didn't look like that on the film, which was a 3rd down conversion. The false starts were disappointing, but they do a lot of pre-snap movement, and they do a lot of things that cause. I think they got called for it actually also. For one time, they just fell down right in front of the center, and the center flinched, and that was on the defense. So they kind of do some things that cause you not to hold your water, and you need to. And I think it was 10 on offense, 2 on defense, and that's just way too many penalties. And then the holding comes sometimes from holding the ball or scrambling the wrong way. All of a sudden Gunner got a holding penalty against them, holding the ball, got to get the ball out. There's a certain time frame that goes in with the offensive lineman that you just can't expect to hold it for too long. But, 12 penalties was ridiculous for us.
Alex.
Have you ever seen an opposing team hold up signs or the screens to prevent any hand signals to?
I think the reason that happened was the way the press boxes are set up here. Traditionally the press boxes are facing, right? Facing the visitor team. For us, it faces the home team, and because of that, we had a coach on our staff that was on the UCLA staff. I think there was probably some thought process that we would know their signals and be able to communicate it, but we didn't, and we weren't. But that is why the silver screens were out there. It was so you couldn't see down, I think.
So, in today's state of college football, Jordan could have easily entered the transfer portal when he wasn't the starter, when he was 3rd string on the depth chart. What kind of level of appreciation do you have for a guy like that who just kind of put his head down and continued to work and wait for a shot?
Jordan wanted to be here. Jordan reached out to us almost within a month of getting the job. He knew a lot of what we were doing at Miami when I was with Ja'Cory Harris and Stephen Morris. His family was kind of aware of what type of offense we ran. He reached out to us, said he wanted to be here, and I think when he didn't win the job, he still wanted to find a way to learn this offense and become the starter. He has 2 years of football available to him. This isn't going to be his last shot, and I think he really wanted to compete. I think he believed in himself. He has great belief and confidence, and felt as if he continued to learn our system that he was going to end up becoming the starter. Unfortunately, the fluke of an injury prevented that for the rest of this season.
Last question, Michael.
I have a couple for you.
Sure.
One, J.B. Brown dressed for the game, but he didn't get any snaps. What was the reason for that?
Yeah, JB made that was some personal things that were going on with JB that we chose not to play him.
And the other thing is, can you walk us through the sequence at the end of the first half? You got an interception, you had,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe like 20 seconds or so plus a timeout, but you.
Yeah, there were 23 seconds left, and part of me was saying it's a 14-13 ball game. We got to be wise here. We're right at the midfield mark. We turn the ball over to them. They have 2 timeouts. They get a chance to kick a field goal. Let's see if we can get a completion. We got a completion, 9-yard completion, and then we had a chance on about the 42 to run 4 verts and try to take a shot to get closer. Probably didn't expect the play to take 17 seconds to get lined up. We had guys running kind of unnecessarily so all over the place, but that's my fault. I should have taken the time out there and get us 2 plays.